together again. Together again. I love that Muppet song. You think Kermit wrote all his own music? You think so? Nah, he didn't. I know. Kermit had writers. I know. You know how I know? I looked it up. I cheated. I looked it up. I know Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog here. He had writers. Proof being, who wrote Rainbow Connection? Kenneth Asher and Paul Williams. There it is. What a way to start the day, huh? Oh, those were the composers. Music and lyrics written. Yeah, composers. But lyrics and music written by Paul Williams and Kenneth Asher. Even though it says the Rainbow Connection, song by Jim Henson. He's the artist behind it. Now I'm going to have to do some digging. But I knew that Kermit had ghostwriters. I looked it up a long time ago. I thought, Rainbow Connection is such a magnificent, it's a masterpiece, really. Kermit the Frog, and Jim, the Muppet Man Henson, as he was known by close associates. Jim Henson and Kermit the Frog. I was like, who wrote Rainbow Connection? Such a brilliant masterpiece. No other song like it. One of the greatest in the world. So I looked it up. I went bop, and out came the answers from my computer. And I said, God damn. Even Kermit has ghostwriters. He's just like Rice Gum. No, I'm just kidding. Rice Gum's a horrible human being. Jess, National Guard got themselves put down. Probably shouldn't be following illegal orders. Listen, I'm not going to talk about it. Because you know what? As a leftist, I don't think anybody should be losing their life. Especially the fact that I'm pretty sure federal judge, said you shouldn't be having the National Guard in the streets. So they shouldn't have been there in the first place. This is like, going into work and something bad happening and you weren't even supposed to be at work. It's like, man, I shouldn't even been here today. So we ain't gonna talk about it. What's up, Long Bong? Good to see you. Jean-Marie Francois. Love the name. Good to see you. But boom. But it's just sad because, ultimately at the end of the day, where I stand as somebody who stands for the people is this is people dying when they shouldn't have been there in the first place. There should have been a home, and they're doing stuff for the wealthy oligarchy, and the wealthy oligarch doesn't care. It's like we're pawn pieces to them. So I'm anti all that. Anti all that, And where I stand and where this channel stands is I've seen enough suffering in my life to last many lifetimes. And I wish no suffering upon any people. Well, there might be a few. I can think of a couple in the oligarchy who I could say I wish they knew the price of egg. But I'm not even gonna fucking talk about it because I know what Fox News is doing. They're blaming the wokes, and I know what CNN is doing, following the wokes lead, following the Fox's lead, and they're all kowtowing to the president of the regime of the United Fascist States of America. And I say, fuck them all, because in my world, people can afford egg. They buy houses at the ripe age of 20, and everybody has plenty of vacation time, paid for by the company. So we ain't gonna address it tonight, because we don't know shit. That's the other thing, man. Just go Google what happened. And there's conflicting reports here. This is really why the mainstream media, the lamestream media, pisses me off. Because they're so quick to jump the gun and please their master, Donald, that they'll just get on the news and start reporting shit that hasn't been confirmed, that hasn't, you know what I mean? And again, that's the mainstream media. That's like billion-dollar corporations are ready to jump out there and just start blaming shit, you know? This is what happens when crime's running rampant, or, you know, whatever shit. Woke city. Oh, they can't do that because it was DC. You know, and it's just they're not beholden to anything besides clicks, profits, and fascists. So shut the fuck up, Waffle. I ain't even gonna just get the fuck out of here. Seriously. I got no time for you today. No time for you today. I ain't even gonna deal with it. I just said I'm not talking about it, and anybody comes in here trying to bite on this fucking, you people are sick, oh, the wokeness, I'm just going to shut you the fuck up. I can't wait till my mods get in here. Just get them the fuck out of here. Because what I just said is what I said, and I'm tired of all the people acting like goddamn clickbait, you know? And these people are doing it in service of their fucking fake king. King Swine, Queen Swine the First, this fucking corrupt dude who ain't served a day in his life, ain't care about nobody, no record of military service in 5 generations, 2 world wars over 150 years, and he'll send you people to die in his name like you were fucking pawns in a chess game. He don't give a shit about none of you. All right. Anyways, back to the Rainbow Connection, Kermit's song. If you don't know Kermit's famous song, was it the 70s? Yeah, it was, 1979. Kermit debuted his masterpiece, The Rainbow Connection. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side? Such a good song. And just in case you were wondering, Kermit does have ghostwriters. 2 guys by the name of Kenny, to those who know him. Kenny Asher and Paul Williams wrote and composed The Rainbow Connection. So Kermit doesn't even write his own music. I was disappointed too. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. We're going to go over the new ice, the new anti-ice commercial. Have you seen it? It's on YouTube. I linked it in the description. Ooh, somebody's gonna make some pancakes. Ooh, make some pancakes. I don't see the emergency for National Guard to be deployed. Yeah, because there isn't one. Exactly. That's why federal judges have been saying, like, they shouldn't be deployed. They shouldn't. Go to church, clown. I'm not trying to... You guys are losers. And I'm not here to entertain the losers. Go to Tim Pool's podcast or the whatever pod. I was watching that thing, or I was watching people clip it and make fun of it. And there's a bunch of mouthpieces on here. You know, I read the Bible, unlike you fucking fascists. I read it every single day. You know what Jesus said? Love your neighbor unselfishly. He didn't say be a racist like Charlie Clan. So shut your mouth. I'm gonna play the ice ad for you. It's on what is this YouTube channel that is on?
You will be caught.
You will be caught. That's Christy Noem telling hold on. While I play this ice ad, I want to pull up this stat. Received new data. 5% of people detained by ICE since October 1st have had 5% since October 1st have had violent criminal records. 3/4 had no criminal convictions at all, and most criminals, in the air quotes, had immigration, traffic, and vice offenses. Not the worst of the worst. You see that graph? I got this off. Was it the Twitters? Is it the Twitters, I believe? It was either the Twitters or the Blue Skies. So, just so you know, no convictions, 73%. Also, in case you didn't see, hold on, before I play the ice ad for you. Where is it? case you thought you were safe. Uh, it's not her sister-in-law, but she was engaged to Carolyn Levitt's brother. And essentially now how news stories are reporting this is they're saying her nephew's mother. So that's how they're relating her. Carolyn Levitt's nephew's mother. The mother of her nephew, Carolyn Levitt's nephew, captured by ICE here in Massachusetts. ICE, absolute scumbags. You know, just the worst of the worst. Just following orders, sir. Yeah, that ain't gonna work when we have the tribunals, but you could try. We know they did before. But if you thought like, oh, I'm white, I'm safe, you know, they're coming for you. They don't give. Oh, I hate to break it to you. These people don't care. They only protect the wealthy oligarchs that are in their immediate circle. They don't even give a shit about their own family. Could care less. I'm sure maybe she'll talk to old swine Trump. I'm sure she might, but this lady is too late. You've already been detained. And once they do that, you know, ICE has had a bad record of just sending people to fucking foreign nations where they have no ties whatsoever. And what are you going to do? This is the thing. This is why you see the swine regime, these fascist swine doing the things they're doing. Because if they send you to a different country, what's a judge going to say? That's illegal? Is a judge going to go and fly and get you back? Is a judge going to, you know, order them to get you back? They can all day. But do you think this fascist swine is going to listen? No. They don't listen to nobody, you know? They listen to one person and one only. And he looks like a pig. He walks like a pig. He talks like a pig. He must be a swine. So, with that in mind, you know, just when ICE comes to your town, kicking in your door, taking your family, just like they took Carolyn Levitt's, I think it's good that there are people, what is it, the Women's March. I think that's the YouTube channel. If you want to watch this for yourself, share it with a friend, share it with family. It's going to debut tomorrow. Hold on. The article says... the commercials will air on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News in Charlotte, North Carolina, Palm Beach, Florida, particularly on Trump's favorite channel near his home, as well as Chicago, Illinois, on Hulu and Peacock, and are sponsored by the Women's March Win Group. There's the information for you. I linked the YouTube channel in the description so you can do what you want with this information. Wait, that's not it. By the way, I am Rob. I'm the one who digs through the canyons and crevasses of the news wilderness to gather the news and bring it to use. And that's what I do. I go out and put my own virtual space at risk to catch. It's more of catch and release news. We're trappers here. We're news trappers. And we go out into the virtual wilderness. We're all over the place. And I trap the news. And I bring it to use. And then I release it. And then you do what you do with your news. So if you feel like it, hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And I promise I will continue to speak out against this filthy swine for all my days. Or maybe all his days. He is getting up there. And I also, before I play this anti-ICE ad that is going to start airing tomorrow, Chicago, Palm Beach, North Kakalaka, throw your hands up. I just want to say, because I get a lot of comments, and to the people out there who are struggling, maybe you've lost Medicare, maybe you're potentially losing Medicaid, maybe you're going through a hard time. Number one, thank you for sharing those comments with me. I know it's hard to do. As somebody who at times shares my life with people, I understand. It's difficult. You put yourself out there, you expose to the world and you allow yourself to be vulnerable, which the strongest people in the world allow themselves to be vulnerable. If you know anything about Jesus, he said, "Let the weak man say, for I am strong." Um, and you can only be the strongest once you've been your weakest. But to all the people who are sharing with me in the comments, the struggles they're going through, I feel you. I see you. My heart aches. If I could fix it, I would fix it. That's why I'm here every day. That's what I do. What I do. I don't make, I make money in the super chat and the thank yous. Thank you, Crush Dice, for the $4.99 I seen the other day. But I don't really make much money here on YouTube, if anything. I think it's like pennies on these lives. I'm clearly not very advertiser friendly, as I say capitalism sucks and there's got to be a better way. So I ain't doing this to get filthy rich. I'm not like some Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool getting 100,000 a week from Russia to, divide the fucking masses or to regurgitate these bullet points that the oligarchy wants you to, trick people into believing. I'm here to say that the workers in America have been underpaid and overworked too long. Everybody deserves access to health care, paid for by billionaires' taxes. And nobody in America should be scared of losing their health care, dying, not afford insulin, not have access to it. No kid should be going hungry. Like, this is America we're talking about before some people start chirping in the comments, work harder or some shit like that. This is America we're talking about. Where in America, 40% of SNAP recipients are children. Around half all children in this country are covered by Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program. And these Republicans, specifically Trump publicans, he wants to rename them to Trump publicans. We'll talk about this stupid ass story. I mean, he is just such a filthy swine that everything he talks about is only concerning him. New word for Trump Republican, T-publican. What? I thought you guys were known as the guardians of pedophiles, and that's how we knew it was your party. You're all over the Epstein files, and you protect them at all costs. Where are the files? You signed the paperwork. I know you got 30 days. Come on, chop, release some files, bitch. But before I play this for you, I just want to say thank you to the people who share your story. Because the more people share their story, the more people speak out and say, hey, man, this affects me, and it sucks. The more people can put a face to the reality and the consequences of these wealthy, nepo baby, coastal elites like Donald Trump, who are fine ripping programs from you, fine giving tax breaks to their wealthy friends. And the more faces we can put on this, and stand together and say, that's not right. I don't give a shit what political party you are with. As a leftist, I don't give a fuck if, you spent your life worshiping the swine you call Trump. I don't care. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have access to healthcare, Like, you're a horrible person. You've made bad fucking life decisions if you voted for Trump. And, especially if you claim you believe in Jesus Christ, like, he is nothing Christ-like. Nothing. He mocks people, makes fun of people. He's only concerned about himself. Where in the Bible do you see Christ saying, like, everybody should be really washing my feet. I have the best feet. Everybody says so. It's not how it happened, guys. And even though you've made those horrible decisions and you were raised poorly, your parents raised you wrong, I don't think healthcare should be taken from you. I don't think you should lose due process. And as much as it fucking pains me to say, you should be treated like a human, even though you don't want other humans to be treated with humanity. Okay, so yeah, keep speaking out. I will too. We're not going to stop because history will remember you motherfuckers, okay? Especially you, ICE. You signed up, your name's somewhere. History's going to remember you. So here is the ad, this ad. Women's March. Hit subscribe to my channel. And then you can subscribe to their channel. This is what the ad sounds like, because this is like a chop shop setup over here that I got. We ain't doing that swell in America, you know? You know your country's not doing that great when they're debating on funding people's healthcare. You know? Like if the debate is, oh, egg isn't that much, gas is this much. Like if that's the debate, guess what? You've already lost. You've already lost. The conversation has been a loss because in countries where people are doing well, they're not talking about that kind of shit. You know? Just remember that. You've been propagandized. Here's the anti-ice ad that starts tomorrow.
You will be removed, and you will never return.
This is Kristi Noem saying that shit, you know, in her propaganda ads where I think allegedly she was paying companies that had close ties to her so her and her friends could profit off our taxpayer money while she made this bullshit propaganda. Cuts to a little girl sitting in a room. This is the little girl before her dad gets home. Dad's walking through the door. You can tell he was one of them husky kids. You know what I mean? I was one of them husky kids. You had to wear the husky size. I don't know if they still have that, but that was a cool, I think it was a brand too, Husky. For your little chubba. I believe that was the slogan. Husky clothes for your little chubba. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Oh yeah, that looks like an ice dude right there. That looks like a demasked ice dude. If you want to see it, I linked the video down below. He's typical what an ice dude looks like, you know? The one weird thing is like he looks like he's dressed like a cop in this ad, and ICE doesn't have like a uniform. They're like half of them are in cargo shorts, half of them look like it was like a Proud Boys gathering. But in this one, I don't know how he got the official ICE uniform that looks like a police. What was it, like secondhand police shop? Daughter runs up and hugs him. Cut to daughter.
Daddy, how was your day?
Daddy, how was your day? Daddy, how was your day? Did you rip any children my age from their parents' arms? Or any parents your age from their children's arms, Daddy? Tell me about your day at work, Daddy. Ah, shit. I hit the wrong button. Oh, he stares at the wall. He's got the 1,000-yard stare. I got an idea. If you're coming home and you got a 1,000-yard stare, I don't know. Maybe the money wasn't worth it, you know? And it says, then it cuts to this. What will you say when she asks about your day? And now it cuts to the real hardcore stuff. This is going to be a bunch of edits, I think.
A mask can't hide you from your neighbors, your children, and God. They'll know. You can walk away before the shame follows you home.
The stink of shame. It's all over them. Those clips are hard to watch because, you know, these are grown-ass men ripping children, ripping parents away from each other. For no other reason than, you know, they were born somewhere else. So, the stink of shame is all over you, ICE. The stink of shame. Your swine deeds for your swine leader. And don't forget, you know, you think you might be doing this in the name of the new Trump-publican party, T-publican. What fucking moron. Like, bro, it's going to be Thanksgiving and food is so expensive. And you're like, I'm going to rename the Republican Party. I know you think you're doing it for this filthy swine, but just remember, he's good friends with like Bill Clinton and Hillary and Epstein. And, you know, they were all hanging out back in the 90s because he was a Democrat forever and he's a coastal elite. You know, the people that you claim to hate, you want to drain the swamp of all those coastal elites and the Nepo babies and the oligarchy. He is the epitome of it. He is the fucking fraudulent one there. He was like the broke one, you know, bankrupted 4 casinos, all that stuff. But you think you're doing it because he's loyal to you, but he has zero loyalty to you. You know where loyalty lies? Money. And that's it. That's funny. You think you do it for your good, dear supreme leader. And that swine cares nothing about you. Nothing. He'd fucking rather hang out with Bill Clinton on Epstein's plane than hang out with you. How many times you hung out with him, Ice? A lot. He come and visit you after a tough day? Huh, Ice? Your Nepo baby coastal elite guy come and hang out with you? Huh? As you ripping them kids and parents from each other? Did this guy give you a call, tell you he's gonna be okay? Huh? You heard from him? You heard from the filthy swine? No. You know why? Because he's busy trying to cover up for him and her and him and the Epstein files. So just remember that. Just remember that. Who are you doing this for? Who are you doing this for, son? Oh, hold on. Why did YouTube, Jess, I didn't realize that was you. J666, 10 cents a day. You too can sponsor an American. Thank you very much, J666. Why did YouTube change all the names? I hate YouTube. Silly YouTube. Stop fucking with stuff, man. Give us something cool if you're going to do that. Preach it. Thank you, Stone Thank you, Stone Wolf. Be amazing. You are amazing. Some say be best, but Stone Wolf says be amazing. I love it. Long bong. What's wrong with EBT Steve? Who's EBT Steve? Angela sheets her pants. No, 40% of SNAP benefits are going to the parents who should try getting a job. They have jobs, you fucking queef. Shut your face. God damn. What's up, Michael? Michael, good to see you, man. They should pay their taxes, Mr. Deeg. That'd be enough to cover universal health care. Yeah, pay your taxes, Jeff Bezos, and this guy, and this lady, and that dude, and who the fuck is that? How'd you get in that photo? We should name you. All right. I think I'm caught up on the comments. Gulf of Epstein's clients. That's what they're renaming it. The Gulf of Donald Trump's on Epstein's list. That's what, I'm sorry, that's what we renamed it. We the people have the power to rename shit because we're the ones who use the names. So you can Google Maps whatever the fuck you want. But we've the Epstein Memorial Ballroom, that's what it's called. And from all the chandeliers, I believe they're going to hang prison sheets in honor of Donald Trump's best friend, Jeffy Eppy. I think Trumpers in the chat are having worse seizures than Biden did. Listen, man, these Trumpers, they're so sensitive. And the other thing we learned is most of them are like in Nigeria, in Eastern Europe, Russia, Southeast Asia, Nigeria. So what I say to them is, if you Trumpers in the chat are so proud of your takes, why don't you go make a short video? You don't even have to be in it. Just make a short video of you in America, you know? And you can, while you're filming your American street, you can say all the words that you feel are so important you like to type into the chat, you know? Go prove that you're American, you bunch of frauds. We know your mass manipulation game. We know Russia's paying you. It's okay. We already knew that when Tim Pool, was like, I was tricked. I didn't know David Gregorian wasn't a real person. I only have the internet and millions of ways to figure this out. But I was duped. I didn't know. How could I have known it was Russia? I was only spouting the beliefs the Russians wanted me to. So yeah, MAGA, we don't take it too serious. We know this is one of the most unpopular presidents ever, and the most unpopular, of most of our lifetimes. So, your boy Epstein, we know Russia's paying you, because, what we found out in the Epstein emails was Vladdy Putin's got the photos of him blowing Bubba. They always do the crying BS. Trump, I love the people who go, Trump and Jesus other way. Trump has nothing to do with Jesus. Do you even know who Jesus is? Or are you talking about some dude that fucking worked at your house once? Because Jesus said, love your neighbor unselfishly. Jesus didn't go around saying, people are saying, I have the best feet ever and you should wash my feet. Jesus went around washing everybody else's feet. And they were like, Lord, Lord, Rabbi, Rabbi, teacher, teacher. why are you washing our feet? He's like, if you want to follow me, you'll be a servant. You ever see this dude be a servant? No, he has lots of servants. ICE is probably sniffing him out right now, but don't come in here, you fucking Russian goon. Where are you? Let me mute you. Oh, did somebody already do it? Oh, well, thank you. Come in here saying Trump and Jesus are the way. Donald Trump doesn't even know who fucking Jesus is, and I'm sure if you said that name to him, he'd probably be like, we have ICE on it. ICE is on it right now. We've heard about this Jesus character, this foreign agent. Sowing discord, very woke, wanting people to love one another? Don't know what that means. Is that what I want Melania to do to me? So yeah, don't come in here talking that rubbish with your verbal diarrhea. Trump would be King Herod. He would. He'd be the one being like, I want all the firstborns gone and all the secondborns named after me. You call them swine, piggy swine. All right, so that was the anti-ICE ad. You can find that in the description. That's what I do for you. Oh, there he is. There he is. Thank you for pointing yourself out, because now I'm going to mute you for good. Come in here lying like that. Fake news when you say Trump and Jesus in the same sentence. That's fake news. He is nothing like Jesus. He was not born in a manger. He was born in a golden skyscraper to a very rich dad in New York City. He became part of the establishment. Jesus didn't run for shit. Jesus was anti-establishment. Okay? You understand me? Morons. God damn. So that anti-ICE ad is in the description. We got to go over some other stuff, and then we're going to get, what else? Trump. I want to talk about this Thanksgiving story my brother sent me. Thank you to my brother for sending me this story. Did you guys see this story? This Campbell soup goon. He looks like a fucking Campbell soup. That's what he looks like. It's funny that he said, I don't buy it, because it looks like you're on a steady diet of Campbell soup, you chode. How do these people get rich? They're not working hard. I guarantee you his daddy was fucking, I didn't even look him up, but I guarantee you he wasn't working hard. Look at that dude. The only thing that's working hard is his neck not trying to fucking collapse. Campbell's executive shocking remarks about soup's ingredients. He also was talking crap about, the working people. We have poor people. Who buys our shit? I don't buy Campbell's products barely anymore. You obviously don't speak English barely anymore. It's not healthy now that I know what's in it. It's bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer. I don't know how much it costs. Is it cheaper? Is it plastic? 3D printer, what are you using? Anyways, I just want to point that out to you. MAGA, you guys need to see this, because I know you come in here and you'd be typing this in my chat, being like, it's called patriotism, just loving the president, not the country. That's what Trump should have said. He should have said, I need to create a new word instead of patriotism. We need to have like presidentism, where you just are obsessed with, loving a man so much. And then probably having to say like no homo. I'm surprised he didn't follow up this tweet with no homo. Fucking losers. But I wanted to show you guys this. 6 signs you're probably in a cult. Because Thanksgiving, I think, is tomorrow. Who knows? The leader is the ultimate authority. The group suppresses skepticism. The group delegitimizes former members. The group is paranoid about the outside world. Oh yeah. Bing, 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 bing. The group relies on shame cycles. The leader is above the law. So you may know somebody in a cult. You may know somebody. Become ungovernable, people. I want to show you this again. Trump family, no record of military service, 5 generations, 2 world wars, 150 years. So, and this is my hero, Kurt Cobain, Genga Nasi. You can look it up. But if you can't figure out the wording, you can look at the sign. That's a punching. Okay. And I want to show you this story after we talk about some other things. This is, what's her name? Anita Peters, Mashpee Wampanoag. Goes by her traditional name, Mother Bear. absolutely amazing article. I linked down below, talking about the first Thanksgiving. Now, I've read a few different books, not on the first Thanksgiving, but on the Mayflower and its inhabitants and their survival through that first winter. And it's interesting to hear the other side of things too. So we're going to go all about it, all about my home state of Massachusetts. It's not even a cool cult. Who said that, Jacob? It's not even a cool. That's right. It's not even like spaceships and Nikes. Well, I guess there are Nikes, but not really spaceships, unless you count that Mars one that's never going. Hold on. Where is the other stuff? Where's the other stuff? Oh my God. Okay, before we get into the other thing, I want to show you this meme news. I kept seeing this floating around. Nick Fuentes, because we've had a few young men who come in here and said something about Nick Fuentes. This dude is a turd. Okay, he's just like, he shouldn't be taken seriously. And unfortunately, in the satirical world we live in, where everything is just like mockery, I guess kids take him serious, and you shouldn't. This dude was living in his mom's house, in his mom's basement. I know a lot of people come in here and be like, oh, you're in your mom's basement. I only wish my mom was, number one, still alive, and I could be fortunate enough to live in her basement. I don't know why that's a diss. If anything, that's more of an indictment on the society that we have today, that people have to still live with their parents and they can't afford a house. Somehow, again, these losers have manipulated the narration and the perception of like living with your parents is your fault, and not that so many people have to do it, including a fucking big streamer who should have had some kind of income but was still living at home. Like, this dude was living at home doing this live stream and like meeting with the president and living at home. I don't think you're a loser for doing that. I think he's a loser for many other things. But people come in here and be like, oh, what are you in your mom's basement? It's like, no, both my parents have been dead for decades, okay? But I'm not sure if they say shit like that to him. But it really is an indictment on society that first-time home buyers went from, the age 20-something to now it's like 50 years old. Like, that's not the fault of the home buyers. That tells you that the wealth has been fucking exploited and extracted from the workers, and there's only a few rich guys that have it. And these nerds that fucking also say, J666, thank you for the $2 super chat. Man, make me a mod. Let me help out. Oh, yeah. I didn't know you weren't a mod. Oh, my God. Hold on. Sorry. I didn't know you weren't a mod. My bad. But, it's always so weird to me when you get these people trying to use, oh, are you in your mom's house, as a diss, when, like, their Lord podcast, Skibbity Riz God, does podcasts from his mom's house, and then he has the gall to say stuff like this. Day one, when he's president, not gonna happen. Sorry, dude. I'm bringing the National Guard everywhere in the major cities and taking away women's right to vote. You would, like, your mom fucking, like, Nick Fuentes, Mrs. Fuentes, you raised your kid wrong, You let him live at home too long and breastfeed for too long because now he thinks, like, he should take your right to vote away. These fucking people, they're unreal, Literally, the ones who are podcasting from their mom's basement are also the ones saying, I gotta take the women's right to vote away. Sorry, Mom. I hope you didn't hear that. Like these fucking nerds. Just look at them. Just look at this herb. God damn, man. And if you like him, move the fuck along. If you like that mom's basement podcast, bro, that super tough guy from his mom's basement saying, I'm going to take my mom's right to vote away. She took all the Totina's pizza rolls. Like, what did your mom do to you that you're this mad at the world, All right, did you guys see this? We're going to get to the Trump thing and the Thanksgiving story. But I wanted to highlight this. Worst CEO of the year, Brian Nichols, Starbucks. We give 2 number ones to you, Brian. He's a turd. And he was paid for 4 months' work, $100 million more than Google. And I'm sure some of you in the comments will go, oh, he earned it. Yeah, right, right. 4 months, $100 million. More than Google, a new guy. Yeah, totally earned it. Well, if he earned it, then why is the stock down 16%, while the S&P 500 is up 84%, you know? Isn't he supposed to bring value to the shareholders? Not happening. But all of these, you can see Kevin Johnson, Howard Schultz, Laxman, Narashim, whatever, Brian Nickel, they've all held the job over the past, like, I don't know, 5 years, and they're all getting paid $100 million. And weirdly enough, none of them can solve the problem. What could the problem be? Oh, fucking, they don't pay their workers. Their workers are understaffed and overworked. Their workers are on strike trying to bargain with them in good faith, and none of them will do it. I got an idea, guys. If nothing's working, why don't you try something you haven't done? I know that means giving up your power, and as a billionaire, you think, I'm almighty. I've been graced the power of money. And when you have money, that means you're the smartest, or at least that's what some of the morons that you always, the perpetual commenters that you see, you know, well, if he has money, he has to be that smart. How else would we get that money? While they also do understand nepotism just in a way that, you know, favors their feelings. But I wanted to bring this up to you because, you know, it's your right as a worker to know how horrible these CEOs are. They're not good at their job. They're really not. Like, they're really not. Like, he's definitely not worth $100 million. If he was, he would have, you know, brought in more money to the company. He would have turned things around. He would have done all these fancy things he said he was going to do, and none of that has happened. So, worst CEO of the year, Starbucks. LeBron makes $100 million a year too. Yeah, overpaid. Oh, Christ. Do we have to talk about this? This one is so depressing. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Did I not take a picture of it? This is another article I linked down below. I didn't get the headline in there. I'm sorry. The headline is called this. And then we're going to get to the Thanksgiving story. You're going to want to get comfortable too. Put on some pajamas. I know Trump regime just said, please dress up when you go to the airport, which is fucking crazy. I thought this was America. I thought you land of the free. If I want to wear pajamas fucking in an Uber to the airport, I should be able to. All of a sudden, the Trump regime, they're like, you know what's wrong with these airports? Everybody's looking too comfortable. Why don't you wear a 20-piece suit? You know, everybody needs to look like Patty Davidstone. Yeah, that's what's wrong with it. But this Business Insider article, this one, I'll link down below. It's called Thousands of Americans in Their 80s Are Working in Some of the Most Dangerous Professions. And then it has a picture of this really old dude lifting a ladder out of a trailer. And it just breaks my heart because, you know, when I go to stores, I talk to the cashiers, I talk to the baggers, and more times than not, you know, it's the older generation, and what are you doing working? Like, why aren't you retired? And they say, this is my retirement. I need to afford my prescriptions. I can't afford this. I can't afford that. And I think, what a fucking society we have. We don't value the youth, you know. We don't value our elderly. You only have value if you're working 7 days a week, you know. And there's people that like buy into this, which I highly encourage you to stop. Because you're going to look back on your life and you're going to go, oh, yeah, bad choice. Bad choice. You don't get that time back with family. And I speak from experience, having lost most of my family. You don't get that time back. So you work all you want, but, you know, that missed time, you're not going to get a second chance at it. So take that for what it is. This article, though, talks about standing in the middle of the road, his bright yellow uniform, Mark Dumoulin, 80, grasps his shoulder. Sharp pain rings in the spot where last year he was hit by a car. Good God, man. He works part-time as a school crossing guard, helping elementary-age students in Newton, Massachusetts cross busy streets. Last fall, a driver didn't stop when the Moulin raised his red sign. The car hit him. Jesus. After a few days' rest, the Moulin said he had no choice but to get back to work. He needed the money. I will work until I won't be able to move anymore, he said. He's one of the thousands of Americans 80 and older who work in professions that can be seen as risky or dangerous, especially for older workers. Is president considered as, one of those risky things? It's funny, man, because, there are people that I would imagine if I said, do you want an 80-year-old to drive your kids to school? Would you in the bus pull up an 80-year-old dude? Would you trust an 80-year-old to drive your kids to school? Would you trust an 80-year-old to, I don't know, be in charge of a military? I don't know. Would you want an 80-year-old to be the chief of the police in your town? One with, let's say, onset dementia, onset Alzheimer's. Would you want an 80-year-old doing all this stuff? And I think most people would be like, no. Yeah, 80, go and rest. But then if I said, oh, what if that 80-year-old person was Epstein's close friend? A swine, as we call him. A full-blown pig. A truffle hound. They would be like, oh, the best ever, king, blah, So funny. It's so funny how sensitive MAGA is. They really operate on feelings alone. But this article, which I linked down below, not the piggy one. This article about de Moulin, Mr. Whoops, that's not it. Mr. de Moulin, crossing guard. I bet the kids love him too, And I bet them kids have seen him get hit by a car like, oh, fucking hero. He took one for us, man. And then this article goes on. 2023 Census Bureau data found that thousands of Americans 80 and older work in the top 10 most dangerous professions as defined by government statisticians and measured by total fatal injuries. Over 1,500 workers drivers or make deliveries. Nearly that many are ground maintenance workers, more than 2,500 agricultural, 3,100 construction laborers and helpers. Hundreds are loggers, roofers, garbage collectors. And then Business Insider's 80 over 80 series is asking people to this is how, open source this is. They're like, hey, you reading this 80 over 80, 80 years old and working? I just implore you, if you're one of these, I'm a hardo, I do push-ups in my sleep. I listen to Tim Pool, who's the toughest ever. He sits in a room and tells me what I should think. I just want to implore you to rethink your life and think what's the measure of a country? How do you measure a country's greatness? Maybe by the way it takes care of its youth, the kids, the future. Maybe by the way it treats its elderly folks. How it decides whether or not people should have access to healthcare. How many people are hungry in the nation. Or do you think the greatness of a country is how its stock market is and how it treats the oligarchy? The people with all the power and all the money. Do they tenderly protect their feelings, and do they make sure that they have no rules, no regulations? They can't be held liable for anything. They can hide behind an LLC. How do you measure the greatness of a country? I'm just posing questions, man. Would you like to see a country that values the children, make sure no American kid goes hungry? Would you like to see a country where, everybody's guaranteed right to healthcare, no matter how much money they make? Would you like to see a country where you have the smartest people, the most educated people, the people who, for the youth that they think, I want to go to college, and they go, I can't afford it, I'll go into the military. And go, well, you shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to just be educated. We want our kids the most educated. We want you smarter than we are. You can find the solutions we couldn't, that we had to give up on. Because that's how I envision a great nation. A great nation values the workforce. Great nation values the youth, values the elderly, treasures their wisdom that they've gained over a lifetime, treasures the youth and the future that it brings that country, treasures education, health. Right now, America does none of that. And we have a leader who could give a shit less. As long as he's good, he don't care. Donald Trump does not care about you. At all. Like, at all. At fucking all. Okay? If he did, he'd be, I don't know, trying to, do healthcare for all. If he was really anti-establishment, and he wasn't one of the CEO, Nepo baby coastal elites, he would be, doing something for us. But he's doing nothing. And he's especially not releasing those Epstein files, I'll tell you what. He signed his name to it, and my God, they haven't come out yet. So what are you waiting for, Donnie? Prove your innocence. Prove your innocence. Who's Bubba? Who's Bubba? So, hold on. Who said, hey, Rob? Oh, what's up, President Raygun? Good to see Raygun. Raygun. I don't know what's going on in the comments, but I want to talk about this story here. I thought it was great. Gather round, children and old children and middle-aged children. Gather round, all ages of children, for I have a tale once told before, maybe in school. Maybe you know this tale. Maybe you're part of this tale. Maybe it's your heritage. If you're white and saying that, shut up. This tale shall be told, and it's going to be a good one. It's interesting. I was reading this earlier. My brother sent me this article. Thank you, bro. I love you. I miss you. I can't wait till we can spend holidays again together. And this is a good story because it gives you another side to the Mayflower, the Pilgrims, that rugged individual capitalist pilgrims that came here and set up the first fucking Macy's ever, or whatever bullshit they're trying to yank your leg with. And this tells you about, the people that made the Pilgrims' survival possible. Without the Wampanoag, without the natives here in Massachusetts. I believe it's native for something. I'll have to look that up, sorry. If you know, throw it in the comments. But the reason those pilgrims survive, without a doubt, is because of the locals, okay? The locals who had already set up shop here, knew how to till the fields and fish the bays and hunt the deers and survive the winters. They made it possible for the pilgrims to live, without a doubt. If I could resurrect one of them pilgrims, if I could get my ghost box out and say, hey, John Smith, what you think? They would have said, yeah, we would have died without him. And what's the thanks they get? Genocide? Really? So let's get into the story, okay? Get comfortable. Where are you? You snuggled up? Good. Because this is a long article. I'm going to read most of it to you, okay? Because I feel like it's important. It's native for not yours anymore. That's kind of a funny joke. I like that. That was a funny joke. I do like the jokes. This here is Mother Bear. I've been to, I don't think this is, hold on. Does it say, oh, this is the traditional part of the Wampanoag Indian Museum in Mashpee. This is not, so in Plymouth Plantation, let me show you. So Plymouth, right here, Plymouth Rock, fucking don't go there. It's, yeah, whatever. But if, what is it, the Cabbie Shack? The Cabbie Shack in Plymouth, if you get their chowder, you know it's good chowder because you can put the spoon in the middle and it will stand up straight. That's how you know it's good chowder. The Cabbie Shack in Plymouth. Great clam chowder. The lobster quesadilla, but the clam chowder, amazing. Anyways, sorry, off track. Plymouth, right there, south of Boston. There's a place called Plymouth Plantation where you can go, and it's like a fucking, it's like a living art museum. It's basically everybody acting like they would have been in 1619 or whatever. Or, nah, maybe a little after, 1620 something. It's the early 1620s. And you could see the, what they would have built at that time. You could see how, the natives had their places. And there's, I don't know what this is called, this kind of housing. Forgive me. But I do know that when you go in one of these, there's like these long houses, almost like, it reminded me of like the Viking longhouse, except for straw roof, it's like pelts and stuff. And when you go in there, if they have a fire going, it's hard to breathe. Like they must have set it up wrong or something when I went, because the fire was not going straight up and it was just fogging up the whole thing. But it's incredible to experience this. So if you do come to Boston, you go to Plymouth, go check it out. But this, which I've never been to and now I want to, this is the one in Mashpee, which does not get as much traction. So I would highly encourage you, if you're going to come here for a history tour, go to the Wampanoag Indian Museum in Mashpee, Massachusetts. Mashpee is down the Cape. See, way down here. Way down here. I'm guessing because on Route 3, I think? On Route 3 or 95, I think it turns into 3 down here, whatever. It's just closer to Boston. People are going to that. But I highly encourage you, take an extra day, spend it down in Mashpee, spend your money here, support this local thing. All right, anyways, I'm going to take you to Plymouth, Massachusetts. Let me pull up the article over here so I can read it to you. It's called, "This Tribe Helped the Pilgrims Survive for Their First Thanksgiving. They Still Regret It 400 Years Later." That's what the article's called. This is in the Seattle Times. Again, thank you, bro, for sending me this. This is one of my favorite articles I've read in a long-ass time. It's a very good read, Save this. I'll link it in the description. What's going on? Are you a MAGA or Dem? I'm neither. Is that hard to believe? It always bugs me. Well, what's going on is we're about to read this article from the Seattle Times about the first Thanksgiving and how the natives regret helping the Pilgrims survive that first Thanksgiving. Because if you know anything about it, that first winter, half of the population of the Pilgrims got wiped out. There's a radical book that I've read. I don't know where it is right now. I'm not going to try to find it. It's called The Mayflower. And if you read that, it is a harrowing tale of the English settlers who were in Amsterdam, I think it was, when they got their little Voyager ship to come over here. Harrowing tale. It's an incredible book. But it's time to recognize the whole other half of that story. So that's what we're doing here. But I encourage you, I'm here. Looks like a bot, looks like a bot account. But I encourage you to think, MAGA or Dem, let's not do that, Are you for the people of America, or are you for fascism? You could do that, because I've never been a Democrat in my whole life, and I certainly aren't a GOP guardian of perverts. And we need people to take off those blinders, thinking everything is Democrat or fascist guardian of pervert. I'm a leftist, so I believe even if you were a Trump supporter and, your business has failed and your family's been captured by ICE and you're still trying not to regret your vote, I still believe you should have access to health care. That's where I stand. I'm a humanist. And it's a class war. So I'm on the working classes side. But what we're doing is we're, in honor of Thanksgiving tomorrow, we're going to talk about this story. Okay, I bring you to Plymouth, Mass. It's a chilly place in the winter. Come November, mateys, it be chilly. I don't know why I did that. Don't know why I did a pirate accent. Well, I guess here in Salem we did have pirates, but Plymouth wasn't so many pirates. Arr! All right. Overlooking the chilly waters of Plymouth Bay, about 36 tourists swarmed a park ranger as he recounted the history of Plymouth Rock. Yeah, look at it, it's Fraggle Rock. That's the place. The famous symbol of the arrival of the pilgrims here 4 centuries ago. Nearby, others waited to tour a replica of the Mayflower, the ship that carried the pilgrims across the sea. They do have that replica there. And it is pretty cool. I like old boats. Nearby, others waited to tour a replica of the Mayflower. I already read that. On a hilltop above stood a quiet tribute to the American Indians who helped the starving pilgrims survive. Few people bothered to visit the statue of Usamequin, the chief or sachem of the Wampanoag nation, whose people once numbered somewhere between 30,000 to 100,000, and whose land once stretched from southeastern Massachusetts to parts of Rhode Island. Here's the map. Is that Fraggle Rock? I like you, conflict monitor. All right. Long marginalized and misrepresented in the American story, the Wampanoag are braced for what's coming this month as the country marks the 400th anniversary of the first Thanksgiving between the Pilgrims and the Indians. But the actual history of what happened in 1621 bears little resemblance to what most Americans are taught in grade school. Historians say there was likely no turkey served. Imagine that. There was no butterballs. Also probably Trump's nickname in the Epstein circle. There were no feathered headdresses worn, and initially there was no effort by the Pilgrims to invite the Wampanoags to the feast they'd made possible. Just as Native American activists have demanded the removal of Christopher Columbus statues and pushed to transform the Columbus holiday into acknowledgement of his brutality towards indigenous people, they have long objected to the popular portrayal of Thanksgiving. Dun dun dun. For the Wampanoag and many other American Indians, the fourth Thursday in November is considered a day of mourning. Not a day of thanks be giving, a day of mourning. Not a day of celebration. Because while the Wampanoags did help the Pilgrims survive, their support was followed by years of a slow unfolding genocide of their people and taking of their land. To learn the history of the Wampanoag and what happened to them after the first Thanksgiving, a visitor has to drive 30 miles south of Plymouth to the town of Mashpee, where a modest clapboard museum sits along a two-lane road. Outside, there's a wet-two. That's what it's called. A wet-two. That's what this is called. I've been inside one. It's so cool. That's Mother Bear, and that's a wet-two. And you can go and check these out. And I highly encourage you to. If you're going to go do some history tour, support them. Outside, there's a wet-two and a traditional Wampanoag house made from cedar poles and the bark of tulip poplar trees, and a mishoon, an Indian canoe. Inside the three-room house sits Mother Bear, a 71-year-old Mashpee Wampanoag, hand-stitching a deerskin hat. She's lived there her whole life in this town and is considered one of the keepers of the Wampanoag version of the first Thanksgiving, and how the encounter turned into a centuries-long disaster for the Mashpee, who now number about 2,800. They were numbering 30,000 to 100,000. Now they number 2,800. That's heartbreaking. The other thing I truly love about the native nations is their language. Not just their native language, but how their native language translates into English. Like, they are the keepers. I truly fucking love that. I love that, people in her town where she's lived her whole life, they view her as the keeper of this information. She's the guardian of it, and she will pass this along. I think that is such a beautiful way to describe it. All right, as we continue. That story continues to get ignored by roughly 1.5 million annual visitors to Plymouth's museums and souvenir shops. I do like the souvenir shops. Get a little lobster magnet. The Wampanoag Museum draws about 800 visitors per year. 801 if this fucking economy turns around, I can go support them. Paula Peters, a Mashpee Wampanoag who is the author and educator of Native American history, said, quote, "We don't acknowledge the American holiday of Thanksgiving. It's a marginalization and mistelling of our story." Before any white sensitive people start fucking barking in the comments, I just want you to remember when I say, like, hey, let's piss on the Confederate flag, you know, fuck the Confederate flag. They were traitorous, treasonous, not American traitors. You know how sensitive they get? They're like, oh, this is my heritage. I just want you, sensitive male Karens, before you start barking about this and being like, oh, marginalization, you know, before you make fun of the shit like this, I want you to remember how you guys act when someone says, like, tear all the Confederate statues down, fuck them all, tear them and burn them, you know? I want you to remember how, like, heritage keeper you get. Okay, I just want you to remember that because you have these outbursts more than these people have stayed quiet, man, and they shouldn't, and we should be recognizing them. So I just wanna point that out, you know, before some white dude starts fucking, you know, calling everybody softy, Mr. Soft Serve. That when I start saying, you know, I think the Confederate flag is only good for toilet paper and we should tear down every Confederate statue and watch them sink to the bottom of the ocean, all of a sudden I hear some white dude going like, my heritage. It's like, shut up, you lost. South will never rise again. Suck it. The Wampanoags, whose name means people of the first light. I love that. In their native language, trace their ancestors back at least 10,000 years to southeastern Massachusetts, a land they call Patuxet. In the 1600s, they lived in 69, Elon would like that one, villages, each with a chief or sachem and a medicine man. You know I'd be seeing that medicine man all the time. He'd be like, oh, you got another crick in your net? Here's some peyote. I'd be like, thank you, medicine man. They had, quote, messenger runners, members of the tribe with good memories and the endurance to run to neighboring villages to deliver messages. So cool. They occupied a land of plenty, hunting deer, elk, and bear in the forests, fishing for herring and trout, and harvesting quahogs, clams, in the rivers and bays. They planted corn and used fish remains as fertilizer, high nitrogen. In the winter, they moved inland from the harsh weather, and in the spring, they moved to the coastlines. They had traded and fought with European explorers since 1524. In 1614, before the arrival of the Pilgrims, the English lured a well-known Wampanoag to Squantum, who was called Squanto by the English, and 20 other Wampanoag men onto a ship with the intention of selling them into slavery in Malaga, Spain. Squanto spent years trying to get back to his homeland. During his absence, the Wampanoag were nearly wiped out by a mysterious disease that some Wampanoags believe came from the feces of rats aboard European boats, while other historians think it was likely smallpox or possible yellow fever, known as, quote, the Great Dying. The pandemic lasted 3 years. By the time Squanto returned to his home in 1619, 2/3 of his people had been killed by it. The English explorer Thomas Dermer described the once populous villages along the banks of the bay as being utterly void of people. In 1620, the English aboard the Mayflower made their way to Plymouth after making landfall in Provincetown, P-Town. I love P-Town. That's the place to go. That is a flamboyant city, and it is fun. It's a cool spot too. It's the very end of the Cape. What's the next town after P-Town? Shit, what is it? They got a great little clam shack on the shuck oysters on the. I forget what the next one is. Anybody know what's the next one? I forget what the next town is. I mean, my buddy went out there, brought the kids. You know, huge cliffs. There's nothing more majestic in the world. Well, in America. Than the cliffs, the sand dunes on Cape Cod. Amazing. They knew their interactions with the Europeans would be different this time. You don't bring your women and children if you're planning a fight, said Paula Peters, who also runs her own communications agency called Smoke Signals, SYGNLAS. Hold on, let me catch you up. Here we go. Paula Peters, Smoke Signals. So check it out. Support Paula. The Wampanoags kept tabs on the Pilgrims for months. In their first winter, half died due to cold. starvation, and disease. I bet Mark Wahlberg's trying to do like a Mayflower. This time on the Mayflower, it's Mark Wahlberg. Hey, man, what's everybody doing here? Marky Mark as Mayor Bradford. Hey man, we lost half a population the first winter. Come on, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, write a fucking Plymouth Plantation script for Mark Wahlberg. Good God, you know, where he comes back to save the pilgrims. Okay, so the Wampanoag kept. Where are we? Right here. We're right here. If you're following along at home. Thanks for staying with me. If you like this kind of reading of articles at your skull, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell. My name is Rob. And sometimes I'm bringing you news like this, you know? And who else is going to tell you we need a pilgrim version of Mark Wahlberg? Listen, I don't support AI, but making a pilgrim movie featuring Mark Wahlberg might be worth it. Osa Miquin, often referred to as Massasoit, I know that name, which is his title and means great sachem, faced a nearly impossible situation. Historians and educators said his nation's population had been ravaged by disease, and he needed to keep peace with the neighboring Narragansetts. He probably reasoned that the better weapons of the English, guns versus his people's bows and arrows, would make them better allies than enemies. In the spring of 1621, he made the first contact. Quote, it wasn't that he was being kind or friendly, he was in dire straits and being strategic, said Stephen Peters, the son of Paula Peters and creative director at her agency. Quote, we're desperately trying not to become extinct. By the fall, let's get to the next point. By the fall, the Pilgrims, thanks in large part to the Wampanoags teaching them how to plant beans and squash in a mound with maize around it and use fish remains as fertilizer, which, by the way, that's like a real, well, of course it's a real, but that's like a very clever technique where you plant certain things in the middle and then you plant things around, or the structure of planting, I forget what it's called. If any gardeners are out there, you know what I'm talking about. But you can structure your planting, like you can plant corn that grows up, and you can plant like peas around it, and they'll each feed the soil like nitrogen, phosphorus, whatever it is, magnesium, I forget. When I was heavy into gardening, I was reading about it and trying to plant in this structural way. So it's amazing that we're talking about the 1600s and these people had it down pat, and they were like, oh, you dumb bitches, this is how you plant, you know, teaching the Pilgrims. To celebrate his, so they planted beans and squash in a mound with maize around it and used fish remains as fertilizer. Had their first harvest of crops. To celebrate its first success as a colony, the Pilgrims had a harvest feast that became basis for what's now called Thanksgiving. The Wampanoags weren't invited. Oh man, that's cold. That's cold. They got ghosted. Osa Miquin and his men showed up only after the English, in their revelry, shot off some of their muskets. At the sound of gunfire, the Wampanoags came running, fearing they were headed to war. Quote, 100 warriors showed up armed to the teeth after they heard muskets fired, said Paula Peters. Told it was a harvest celebration, the Wampanoags joined, bringing 5 deer to share, she said. There was fowl, fish, eel, shellfish, and possibly cranberries from the area's natural bogs. If you know Ocean Spray, they're located, you know, South Shore, Boston, with the cranberry bogs. I used to live by the cranberry bogs. I love cranberries. Not in the can, only homemade. The Wampanoags didn't wear them. Men wore hold on. In this book, This Land is Their Land, author David Silverman said, school children who make construction paper feathered headdresses every year to portray the Indians of the first Thanksgiving are being taught fiction. The Wampanoags didn't wear them. Men wore a mohawk, quote, roach, made from porcupine hair and strapped to their heads. That's badass. Why don't we should have the kids doing that. Make the mohawk roach, you know, made from porcupine hair. Aren't those just quills? Or does porcupine have hair too? I should have researched that. I will later. I will spend all day reading about this. Um, but I think we should push, all these parents getting involved in the sake of mom's first liberty or whatever, in the sake of burning books. We should get parents involved to like replicate the actual, like teach the kids this, a mohawk roach and porcupines. That's what we should be advocating for, not taking away books. Let's go to this picture. Darius Combs, a Mashpee Wampanoag who serves as the tribe's something, something, something. Oh, I didn't hit more. Sorry. Outreach coordinator. There we go. He said, there's such misinterpretation about what Thanksgiving means to American Indians. Quote, for us, Thanksgiving kicked off colonization, he said. Our lives changed dramatically. It brought disease, servitude, and so many things that weren't good for Wampanoags and other indigenous cultures. Linda Coombs, an Aquina Wampanoag, who is tribal historian, museum educator, and sister-in-law of Darius, said Thanksgiving portrays an idea of, quote, us seeming like idiots who welcomed all of these changes and supports the idea that pilgrims brought us a better life because they were superior. Which clearly is wrong, you know what I mean? Without the Wampanoag, the pilgrims wouldn't even know how to plant corn and beans. Corn and beans! Mother Bear, a clan mother and cousin of Paula Peters, whose English name is Anita Peters, tells visitors the tribe's museum that a 1789 Massachusetts law made it illegal and, quote, punishable by death to teach a Mashpee Wampanoag Indian to read or write. You reading this? You reading this? That's insane. She recounts how the English pushed the Wampanoag off their land and forced many to convert to Christianity. Quote, we had a pray or die policy at one point here among our people, Mother Bear said. If you didn't become a Christian, you had to run away or be killed. Can I just speak for somebody who does believe in Christ? That's not what Christ would have wanted, okay? The way Christ would have wanted this, that's a bad representation, and those pilgrims and those quote-unquote Christians at the time were not Christians. They were the opposite. They've met Satan, and they rest with him now. A Christian, somebody who followed Jesus' way of living, like Jesus said, he would say, do as I do, be like me. He would have been with the tribes and washing their feet and taking care of them and trying to heal their sick, not make them sick. So, bad job, 1600s pilgrims. Wampanoag land that had been held in common was eventually divided up, with each family getting 60 acres, and a system of taxation was put in place, both antithetical to the Wampanoag culture. Yeah, don't tax the tribes, man. Let the native nations, if anything, they should be getting our tax money, because that's bullshit. And again, for all you who would say otherwise, I want you to think if this was your land, and then they were like, no, you move out, and we'll give you a little piece, and then we're going to tax you instead. Okay? Put yourself in their shoes. Much later, the Wampanoags, like other tribes, also saw their children sent to harsh Indian boarding schools where they were told to cut their long hair and abandon their, quote, Indian ways and stop speaking their native language. Paula Peters said at least 2 members of her family were sent to Carlisle Indian School in Pennsylvania, which became the first government-run boarding school for Native American children in 1879. Its founder, Civil War veteran and Army Lieutenant Colonel Richard Henry Pratt, was an advocate of forced assimilation, invoking the motto, quote, kill the Indian, save the man. Damn. Mother Bear recalls how her mother's uncle, William L. High Eagle James, told his family to destroy any writings he'd done in their native language when he died. He didn't want them to get in trouble for having the documents. Frank James, a well-known Aquina Wampanoag activist, called his people's welcoming and befriending the Pilgrims in 1621, quote, perhaps our biggest mistake. In 1970, he created a National Day of Mourning. That's become the annual event on Thanksgiving for some Wampanoag, after planners for the 350th anniversary of the Mayflower landing refused to let him debunk the myths of the holiday as part of a commemoration. By then, only a few of the original Wampanoag tribes still existed. Quote, we, the Wampanoag, welcome you, the white man, with open arms, little knowing that it was the beginning of the end, that before 50 years were to pass, the Wampanoag would no longer be a free people, he wrote in that speech. In the 1970s, the Mashpee Wampanoag sued to reclaim some of their ancestral homelands, but they lost, in part because a federal judge said they weren't then officially recognized as a tribe. Oh, that's fucking cold, man. The Mashpee Wampanoags filed for federal recognition in the mid-70s, and more than 3 decades later, in 2007, they were granted that status. The Gayhead, Aquina of Martha's Vineyard are also federally recognized. In 2015, about 300 acres were put into a federal trust for the Mashpee Wampanoag under President Barack Obama. Oh, bummer. That essentially gave them a reservation, although it's composed of dozens of parcels that are scattered throughout the Cape Cod area and represents only half of 1% of their land historically. But, President Donald Trump, who has a butthole for a mouth, administration tried to take the land out of the trust, jeopardizing their ability to develop it. Mashpee Wampanoag tribal officials said they're still awaiting final word from the Department of the Interior, now led by Deb Haaland, the first Native American to head the agency, on the status of their land. Some tribal leaders said that a potential casino development would bring much needed revenue to their community. But without the land in a trust, Mashpee Wampanoag Council member David Whedon said it diminishes the tribe's sovereignty. Quote, 400 years later, we're still fighting for our land, our culture, and our people, said Brian Whedon, the tribe's chairman and David Whedon's nephew. The Wampanoags are dealing with other serious issues, including the coronavirus. The tribe paid for the hotels for infected members so elders could get multi-generational households wouldn't get sick. Even before the current pandemic, the Wampanoag struggle with chronically high rates of diabetes, blood pressure, cancer, suicide, and opioid abuse. In the expansive Cape Cod area, many Wampanoags can't afford housing and must live elsewhere. They also worry about overdevelopment and pollution threatening waterways and wildlife. Quote, the land is always our first interest, said Vernon Silent Drum Lopez, the 99-year-old Mashpee Wampanoag chief. It's our survival. This is such a humbling thing he said. Oh shit, I didn't take any more pictures. That is such a humbling thing to hear him say that. The land is always our first interest. It's our survival, he said. I want you to think about that, because I know in America everyone thinks like, oh, Donald Trump is self-made. He created the land he walks on. But when you really truly think about it, we're nothing without the land. We're nothing. Where are you gonna live? You going to Mars with Elon? And the fact that they treasure it is is sacred, and that's cool, man. I really respect the history they're preserving, and that's why I wanted to share this article with you. I'll finish reading it. Again, I shared it in the description, link below. If you'd like to share it, especially tomorrow, please do. When she was 8 years old, Paula Peters said, a school teacher explained the Thanksgiving tale. After the story, another child asked, quote, what happened to the Indians? The teacher answered, quote, sadly, they're all dead. No, they're not, Paula Peters said. She replied, I'm still here. She and other Wampanoags are trying to keep their culture and traditions alive. That is 8 years old. This is a fucking amazing little human who is now obviously much older, but I want to try to reach out to I really want to try to reach out to the MAGA hard-headed, asshats for a second. I just want you to think about what just happened. That little girl, 8 years old in school, I want you to think, 100 years from now, somebody in school is like, what happened to the MAGA? Did we chase them all to Argentina for their crimes against humanity? And, you're sitting, little 8-year-old future biogenetic you, cyber frozen in Elon's, cryo chamber. And you hear some little kid say that, you're so proud. When you go, no, we didn't all get chased to Argentina. I'm still here. Like, I don't know how else to do it besides put you in their shoes, but I want you to understand what that little 8-year-old Paula Peters did, when a classmate of hers said, what happened to all the Indians? And the teacher said, they're all dead, And she was like, no, I'm this living history. That's my history. This is my culture. And at 8 years old, she said, no, they're not. I'm still here. Not only the bravery and courage that at 8 years old, I'm sure she probably got bullied for, but also to have that sense of like, no, that's mine. This is my history, and I'm not gonna let you write it off as we've just all disappeared. It's truly remarkable, man. It's truly, truly remarkable. And I just wish our country and people would appreciate this more. I don't know how to express it. 5 years ago, the tribe started a school on its land that has about 24 kids who range from 2 to 9. They learn math, science, history, and other subjects in their native Algonquin language. The tribe also offers language classes for older tribal members, many of whom were forced to not speak their language and eventually forgot. MAGA, I want to reach out to you. Could you imagine if us leftists took over and we forced you to stop saying woke? Everything's woke, everything's woke. How you guys would start these secret underground railroads of like, hey man, that shit's woke. Don't tell anybody. I have my Let's Go Brandon t-shirt on under this one, Like, I want you to think about how oppressed you would feel. You guys feel oppressed when we say, hey, could you wear a mask not to get the elders sick? Think about if we took away woke from you, which we're gonna. When us leftists take over, we're gonna allow you to have healthcare at no cost to the billionaires. You're never calling Uber for a heart attack again. You'll call an ambulance. And we're going to, make you stop calling everything woke like a moron. Okay, quote, we want to make sure these kids understand what it means to be Native and to be Wampanoag, said Natana Greendeer, a Mashpee Wampanoag who's head of the tribe school. At the school one recent day, students and teachers who wore orange t-shirts to honor their ancestors who had been sent to Indian border schools and didn't come home, Greendeer said. In one classroom, a teacher taught a dozen kids the days of the week, words for weather, and how to describe their moods. A math lesson involved building traditional Wampanoag wetu. Another involved students identifying plants important to American Indians. There are no lessons planned for the 400th anniversary of Thanksgiving, Greendeer said. If the children ask, the teachers will explain that's not something we celebrate because it resulted in a lot of death and cultural loss. Thanksgiving doesn't mean to us what it means to many Americans. This year, some Wampanoags will go to Plymouth for the National Day of Mourning. Others will gather at the old Indian Meeting House built in 1684, one of the oldest American Indian churches in the eastern United States, to pay their respect to the ancestors, many of whom are buried in the surrounding cemetery. Plenty of Wampanoags will gather with their families for a meal to give thanks. Not for the survival of the Pilgrims, but for the survival of the tribe. History has not been kind to our people, Stephen Peters said. He tells his young sons, quote, children were taken away, our language was silenced, he said. People were killed. Still, we preserved. We found a way to stay. That's so beautiful. That's a goal of mine. I would love to go and give honor to their ancestors on a Thanksgiving, a National Day of Mourning. I would love to plan to bring my children and teach them about this. And I hope maybe you will too. That's why I wanted to read this story about Mother Bear, the traditional Wetu and the Wampanoag tribe here in Massachusetts, and how they made it possible for the Pilgrims to survive. Half of the Pilgrims were wiped out that first winter, and without this native nation, they would have all been, maybe, I don't know, but I linked this story because I felt it was very, very important to share and spread the word. So I hope you do, maybe read it around the fire tomorrow night after you eat. Dusty, what's up? Oof, oof, oof. I love when people say oof. Hold on. Let me give you a little oof, 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 oof. Where is it? Ooh. There we go. I shouldn't fart on MAGAs. Well, you can. Don't care. Okay. Hey, look, there's an alpha skibbity risma. I don't care. Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. You don't care, but you're still here. Yeah, T-Rabies. That's cool. Man, he's so tough, he couldn't care less. Oof, oof. Love it, Dusty. Oof. But I wanted to share that with you guys. Donate to the Native Project. Oh, I don't know about that, but yes, please do. If you can support any of the Native nations, especially in your local area, please do. Please do. And support the cause when you can, speak out when you can, and share this kind of information when you can. It's amazing. I love history, so maybe it hits differently. Maybe it hits differently. All right, I think that was everything. Wait, hold on. Was it? No, I took some more pictures. Hold on. Breaking days after SCOTUS. Oh yeah, did you guys see this? Real Page is now arguing that AI companies have a First Amendment right to help landlords collude to raise rents. This is real America first stuff, guys. You know what makes America great again? Then corporations saying, no, we have a First Amendment right to collude with other corporations to price fix the price of housing on you. Yeah, this is real cool stuff, guys. Become ungovernable. That's our best chance. It's our best chance. I will fart on MAGAs on your begging now. Only when they don't like it. I appreciate that. Only when they don't like it. That's the only way to do it. I don't ever expect attention from the streamer. Well, you're getting it, my friend. Raise the rent. It's a great take. This is a real anti-American take some of these maggots have. Yeah, raise everybody's rent, you know. I support Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk America. I support that South African illegal immigrant and that Slovenian whore in the White House. Yeah, great take, guys. Real great take. Very, very pro Russian, I guess it would be. Keep sowing that divide. Okay, guys, please hit subscribe. Please hit subscribe. Why are there so many songs about rainbows and what's on the other side? Don't forget, what did I teach you guys in the beginning of the live stream? Kermit the Frog had ghostwriters. I know, it's shocking. I couldn't believe it myself. But if you Google it, he did. Kermit the Frog did not write Rainbow Connection. It's two guys, Kenny and something. Kenny and Powers. I don't know. But two guys ghost wrote for Kermit the Frog on his hit Rainbow Connection. Love that song. Dusty, good to see you. Look at Charlie Kelly, John 13:34. Love one another as I've loved you. Try it, MAGA. Try it, MAGA. Try it. Appreciate you, Charlie Kelly. I hope you take a break from huffing that paint and chasing those rats and you enjoy your Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, all my loved ones have to work. You know, we're all saving up for egg. One of these days, guys. One of these days. Keep hope. And again, to everybody who supports the channel, like you, Charlie Kelly, like you, Dusty, like you, who's in here? Michael, Sim Racing, J666. To all of you guys, I'm very thankful for you. I want you to know that. And to everybody who has opened up, I said this earlier, but who has opened up in the comments and shared their life experiences and their suffering and the things they're going through, I'm grateful for you, and I'll do the best I can. I will keep pushing for a better tomorrow, and I encourage you to too, because fuck this oligarchy. They shouldn't be able to make the rules for us working class people when they have, you know, shoppers who buy their egg for them. So solidarity, join the community, join the family. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, I'm gonna come right into your home on Thanksgiving and ask for a slice of pie. All right, guys, have a good one. Peace.